just a quick overview of what a general plan is. It's essentially an overarching policy document, which means it's going to set the course for the next 20 to 25 years.
When I joined council 22 years ago, we were going through our general plan, which is a 20-year process. And that set the course. Everything you see from 22 years ago to now was because you have to abide by the general plan.
It's going to set the course for the next 20 to 25 years with objectives, with goals, with vision statements that are going to help guide both what happens on the ground, buildings, the character and the maybe not necessarily look and feel, but the type of uses from residential to commercial to office, where those maybe should be located. It's going to think about transportation generally and how that could be improved potentially in the area. It's going to think about your open spaces and parks.
It's going to affect every department that we have. We're going to be looking at public services. So what are our, do we have enough fire services, police? Are there issues for them from a transportation standpoint, from getting point A to point B? And so because it's going to touch pretty much all of the different areas, it's being managed by the city manager's office because he's kind of oversees all of those.
And the general plan is a document that's actually mandated by the state. It's something that has to be updated essentially every 20 to 25 years. Every city goes through it to make sure that it's meeting some of the latest statutes and laws, but then also is addressing things that are coming up that weren't evident 20 years ago, like climate change and sea level rise and sustainability and environmental equity. Those things weren't necessarily thought about back 20 years ago when this was originally written. So it needs to be refreshed and updated to include those things, but then most importantly, make sure that it's addressing a lot of the concerns and topics that you all have. And again, as Eddie mentioned, you all mentioned, preserving what's great about South San Francisco.
We have 17,000 new jobs on the books and no housing. That means we have to provide housing. Otherwise, the state penalizes us. They take away transportation dollars, and then they come in and say, South San Francisco, you can't dictate height, anything else. You will build a 20-story building because you're behind. So it's going to be up to you and all our other districts to get involved and say, designate in your neighborhoods what you want.
South San Francisco, like every city in the Bay Area, is subject to some pretty huge macro forces. And so there's some factors we just can't control. We can't control all of the huge development pressure that's coming up from the south, from Silicon Valley and down from San Francisco. That impacts our city, and it's going to force our city to change. And another thing that's happened recently is the state government has passed some laws that have really limited our ability to control our own development policies.
So I implore you and I challenge you to show up, to challenge us, to say this is what we see for the future of Westboro and for the future of South San Francisco. So I just want to say thank you. This is just the first step, and I hope to see you more at these meetings. So thank you very much.
What we're trying to do now is just trying to get what's kind of the feeling of the things that are going well for the city. What do people not like?
This is your opportunity to say this is acceptable, this is not acceptable. That's why you need a voice.
Let us know what your story is about South San Francisco, how you landed here, why you live here, what you love about it, and what some of the places and events are that you particularly gravitate towards.
My kids been raised here. Park and Recreations had been there, where they formed friends, baseball. Myself, we volunteer in the city, so we have had a great experience, and that's why I'm very proud to always say that I'm a South San Francisco citizen.
From 1960 to the present time, I've been in South San Francisco and consider myself very lucky and fortunate.
We have so many resources. Our Parks and Recreation Department, right? In and of itself, I think it was mentioned, our great schools. We're thriving. We're supporting each other's resources with our thriving young community, with our Boys and Girls Club and all the various resources that we have. And I think that's something that needs to be said for, with all this development and all this continuous, growth, we are preserving and we're remembering what's important, and that's the lives of the young ones. And as we shape South San Francisco, we need to remember that it's for those younger generations that we got to keep in mind.
And again, we're shooting for 2022 as a kind of an end date. So again, about a 2-year process essentially, and we'll be coming back to you with more information about this moving forward, but just wanted to give you a kind of an overarching idea of the overall timeline for the project itself.
You know, if you look at what's happening at the local level, at the federal level, now is a really easy time to get really cynical and disillusioned and to think, like, am I really wasting my time here? Do I make a difference in government? I just want to tell you that on behalf of my staff and all of City Hall, we really do care about this community, and we want to work hard to see if this can be an honest discussion about the community we want to create.